people who carry money to pay the road fees, taxes, and tolls, and also carry money for the temple, for the Jews who cannot make it, who can't make the journey. This cash was known as head taxes. The trip from Babylon to Jerusalem takes roughly 2 weeks. Many Jews from the western edges of the Mediterranean also make the pilgrimage on ships. The wealthy ride in wagons and chariots, followed along by their servants and slaves, riding camels, horses, and donkeys. But most pilgrims walk, since it is considered more effective or holy to make the pilgrimage on foot. Jerusalem is considered to be God's city, a sacred place. And first-time pilgrims are eager and impatient. They can hardly wait. They can hardly wait to march in the festive parade to the temple. Their souls become filled with pious longings, and they begin dancing and singing. They can't wait to see the scholars and sages in their perform their wonderful rituals and ceremonials. Each caravan of pilgrims elects a leader, and they all soon enter the gates, walk the streets, and dine and drink in the taverns. Each individual Jew becomes part of the throbbing pulse, the life of God's great city, Jerusalem. They carry staffs in their hands, and sandals cover their feet. They carry water skins, food, and baskets of fruit, offerings up to God in the temple. And the Israelite people are in an exalted mood and express their religious intensity via food, drink, and song. The city of Jerusalem is covered with green branches and fruit, palm leaves, olive branches, fragrant willow, and myrtle. All types of leafy things and branches cover everything. The streets are adorned with citrus fruits and pomegranates, and each man holds a lulav, grasped firmly in his hand, a ceremonial branch of palm leaves. All these green leafy twigs, branches, and tasty fruits are, of course, direct linked to the far more ancient Canaanite ingathering that the Jews have, over the course of centuries, transformed into their own celebration. They have put their own unique spin on the Big Autumn Festival. The people cannot close their eyes. There will be no sleep and no time to waste. Because from the awakening of the dawn and the ritual pouring of libation of water upon the altar to the nighttime, which has the torch dance that lasts until morning, it's party, party, party. Now, in the afternoon, there's a series of animal sacrifices that take place, and the priests get no rest. The demand being so great that every priest in the country is now in Jerusalem. And the Israelite people make countless special sacrifices to God as the pilgrims wander and sing in groups by the colonnades of the temple. Various Jewish sects mingle together and listen to debates as the great sages speak. As the afternoon sacrifices end and the sun begins to go down, an interesting and joyous fire observance, the torch dance, takes place at night in the temple's court of the women. Once again, I'm going to say this. In the temple's court of the women. There are galleries on the roof of the colonnades that encircle the court with the men below them. In the center of the court of women burn great golden menorahs that are set up on bases. These menorahs are 50 yards high, 150 feet. Each menorah has 4 branches, huge cups at the top that are filled with oil. The light is so intense that it illuminates the entire city of Jerusalem. The sacred fire flares up higher and higher. At the sound of flutes, the men gather in the courtyard. They are holding torches in their hands, and they dance like mad, waving the torches, throwing them in the air, and catching them again and again. More dancers show up. They stand on tiptoe and bend their heads to the ground and rise again and again. As other men play musical instruments and sing the psalms, harps, cymbals, flutes, trumpets, and drums. The dancing, singing, playing goes on till dawn. In this time of Herod's temple and Roman occupation, it is the men who celebrate the torch dance. Remember, this is happening in the court of the women. But in the distant past, the Canaanite past, the time of the ingathering festival, it was the women who danced the torch dance. They danced the torch dance in honor of the great mother, Asherah. So it wasn't the men back in the day who danced the night away. It was the women. As the rays of the sun begin to shine and the crowing of a rooster is heard, 2 priests with silver trumpets blow 3 calls, 3 signals, and the temple gates are opened and the massive crowd goes home. The rituals and ceremonies, not to mention the massive partying, is repeated each day. On the 7th day, the priest marches before the altar not just once, but 7 times. They beat the earth with willow branches, marking the official end of Sukkos. The festival of the tabernacle, or booths, is now over. On the 8th day, Shemini I'm having trouble with the Hebrew today. Shemini Atzeres. I think I got it that time. Shemini Atzeres. There is a special conclusion to the festivities. It is still Sukkos in a way, but it's not in a way. But without the symbolism, there's no pole tents, there's no palms, there's no willows, no fruits, no greenery of any kind on the 8th day. In the evening of the 8th day, a special omen-filled sacrifice for the coming year was performed. The direction of the smoke from the fire would signal the fate of the people for the coming year. If the smoke traveled north, it would be a wet, rainy year, and the poor would be happy, while the rich would be sad. Low prices and lots of food. If the sacrificial smoke headed south, it would be a dry year, and, food would be expensive. The poor would be sad, and the rich people would be happy. If the smoke traveled east, it would be considered a good omen for all, and both the rich and poor would be pleased. Happiness for everybody if the smoke traveled east. If, however, the sacrificial smoke headed west, it was considered a very bad omen indeed. This was an omen, a signal that famine is on the way, and all the people, both rich and poor, would be sad and starving. So those last few moments of the biggest and longest of all the Jewish autumn festivals, at least for some people, might have been filled with fear and dread as they waited to see in which direction the sacrificial smoke would travel, and they waited to find out the will of God, the fate of the Israelite people in the coming year. All right.